Hello, I am going to talk today about finishing touches. You might be at the point where you have attached all of your pieces to your clay project and you think you're done. So those of you who are feeling like you are done, I want you to look at your piece and make sure that it looks professional, that it looks nice and neat, that you don't have crumbs and little boogers and stuff all over it. And so that's what today is all about. Now this piece right here, obviously I'm not finished with it, but there are some things that I want to point out on here that I want you to look at on yours to make sure that you don't leave stuff so that it looks unfinished. So let's look at the edge. The edge of this piece right here has like pieces on it that are sticking out. And it's got this area that looks like it got nicked by something. So make sure that if you are done, you go around the edges and you smooth out your edges. Now, if you don't want the edge to be rounded, then use a finger to make one side straight up and down and then the top flat across so that you have this nice corner right here. This is me using two fingers at the same time to get that nice corner, that nice crisp, clean edge right there. Or you can use your finger to kind of round out the whole thing, but it should look intentional. Whatever you're doing should look like you did it on purpose. I do like to use the credit card tool to smooth out things that are supposed to be flat, to go around the edge, to do the same thing, kind of flatten out and smooth out everything. Get rid of your boogers. If you have pieces that you've attached, and you can look in between them and see that there are little pieces, then I want you to go in and get rid of any little crumbs and pieces that are sticking out of there as well. So what I mean by that is that in between these pieces right here, you can tell that there was some area where the clay squished out and it's not perfectly smooth in the middle there. So use your tools to go in and smooth out the areas that look like they should be smoothed, and to go along the edges of things to get rid of any extra slip or water that has squished out. Everything should look intentional. So your coils, if they are flat in some areas, or like this one had a little nick in it, the edges, the ends of your coils as well should look intentional. So if it just looks like you rolled it out and you weren't thinking about how it really looked on the ends, go in and clean them up and make everything look like you did it on purpose. This should not look the same as the projects that you worked on in elementary school, because for real, this is middle school. You have spent at least a week working on the clay part of this project. So the detail that you've added there, it should reflect that amount of time. I should look at it and go, oh yeah, they definitely spent the full week or more working on this clay project. I shouldn't look at it and go, yep, they finished that in about 45 minutes. So if you want to have a decent grade, then you want to make sure that you clean it up and make it look really nice. If you've got areas that look like they are sloppy, you're gonna get points off, but even worse than that, I might not fire it in the kiln. So when I started teaching elementary school and we worked on projects with clay, I remember how magical the clay projects were. Everything that any elementary school student made out of clay was cherished, and I would work tirelessly to fix any little things that I knew were probably going to break in the kiln, and I did a lot of extra effort to make sure that kids' clay projects didn't end up, you know, exploding in the kiln and stuff like that. When I started teaching middle school, I realized that there are plenty of you who made it. Now you want to get a grade for it, but you really don't care about the project, and that's okay. You are not in elementary school anymore, and so if the clay project that you made is not your favorite thing you've made all year, that's not going to hurt my feelings. If you have made something that you feel like, I really realized that clay is not my thing, and that working three-dimensionally is not something that I'm good at, and you don't feel like it's all that awesome, I don't have to fire it in the kiln. That'll save me time and effort and energy, and then you don't have to feel obligated to bring something home if it's not something that you're proud of. But you do want to have a good grade on it. So if you've made one that looks like you really didn't care, then I'm probably not going to fire it, because it looks like you didn't really care. I'm going to assume that you really don't, okay? Now, what I am doing with this piece of clay right now, cleaning up all the edges, getting rid of boogers, making things look intentional, going through with my subtractive textures and really making those look nice. All of this is much easier to do when your clay is what we call leather hard, meaning I could pick up this pancake right here and shake it a couple times and it bends a little bit, not a whole lot. That is the perfect time to be really cleaning up and making it nice. Here are some things that I made using the red clay. So here's a letter that I made. It's a letter Z. You can see that I've already gone through and I've really cleaned up my edges. I don't have any for my in-person students, but my at-home people, if you have a paintbrush somewhere that you can get a little bit of water on and go along and basically use it to smooth out areas, then that works really well in these little crevices and stuff. If you have a dry paintbrush, those are nice for using like a broom and sweeping out any little crumbs that are in weird places. So I would suggest that for my people that are at home. If your clay piece is like this one that I just started, here's another letter. This one's a letter G. You can see it's floppy and the clay is really squishy still. It's not as easy to make it look super duper nice when it is in this state right here, which we call plastic. A plastic state with your clay means it's really wiggly. This piece right here has been drying for a few days. I go like this and it doesn't move at all. And so if your clay is like this one right here, I would suggest that you put it in your bag, but leave your bag open. Not, you know, gaping open, huge open, but open a couple of inches so that it can start to dry more throughout the day. And then check on it again tomorrow. Tomorrow, hopefully, it'll be in a state more like this one, or more like this one right here, where it's not so floppy and wiggly, and it'll be much easier to go in and clean up all of the little crumbs and stuff that are attached to the surface. So, work on it, make it look nice. We want these to look professional. Do a lovely job. And I'll see y'all later.